need to keep your word. All right? If you are a man, you keep your word. And now all that the black people in this country are demanding, and even the black people in the whole world are demanding, is that you keep your word. You told us we were free. Well, then show us that we're free. You told us that there is justice, equality for all in this country. Well, then stick to your word and let us see the justice and equality for all. Or else admit to us that you're not a man, you're a worm, you're afraid of us, you're afraid to give us equal stand. You're afraid that if you give us equal ground, that we will match you and we will override you. And if that's what you're afraid of us, then tell us that just what you're afraid of. But don't keep hiding it from us and holding this up to us, and every time we ask you for something, you give us a little bit of something. And it's all tokenism. We don't want tokenism. And there are most black men in this world that don't want charity. And yet still every time we ask you for something, you give us a little piece, a little piece. You're playing games with us. We're not children. We're big men. I've seen my father have to put up with all kinds of stuff. He was a big man. He raised a family. He went down south, and he had to go around to the back door with his wife. We're not asking for anything. We're not asking for any favors. All we want is what's ours. Now, there are many black veterans who are coming back, and they're mad. They're angry. Do you think that they're going to sit down through this? Our fathers didn't have the knowledge that we had. They sat through it. But there are other black youth that are not going to sit through it. We know about Che. We know about Bannon. We've read the books of our revolution. We've listened to Mao and his quotations. We know where we stand. We're not going to sit for it. We're asking, and if we ask and we don't get, we're prepared to stand up and take it. You need to keep your word. All right? If you are...
Welcome to another episode of RBN Tuesdays. I'm one of your hosts. I'm CJ. What's up, JB?
We got to do it today. I was doing it on my channel. We got to do it today.
What are we doing?
All right.
Tell everybody.
I don't know. I'm just doing something. I don't know. Welcome to RBN, people. Look, I got my homeboy CJ. You got me. Rome's gonna be in a little while. Hey, we're gonna make it do what it do.
Yes, sir. Tell everybody what went on your channel. We always like to fill everybody in on the latest JB, especially since you just ended your stream literally like 30 minutes ago. So
yeah. So one of the things I was talking about was that it was a story that came out in South Florida that 3 different nursing schools actually gave fraudulent degrees to nurses. So there's a lot of nurses, over 7,000 nurses, that don't have actual certified degrees by the state in order to practice nursing. And so they literally stole over $100 million from these students that were trying to become nurses. So now you have a lot of nurses who, over 2,300 of them, are literally now working in the field, and they're not fully certified. So they're technically not nurses. And so they may be throughout the state, they may be throughout the country right now. And so this is a scary thing. And I tied it back to capitalism and how if we did not have to have school tuition in schools, then we wouldn't have to worry about this, because then they wouldn't have to worry about having to pay for this education. And so it's just a really sad state of affairs that you have a lot of nurses right now that are scared that they may end up losing their license because of the greed of some of these private schools.
Yeah, that's just terrible. I did catch a little bit of it. It's kind of crazy today for RBN. I saw we're starting a little bit later than our normal time. And I do want to play a short clip for you to get your reaction really quick, kind of to get the juices going before we get into some of the more in-depth conversation here, JB. This video is of Rachel Maddow, and she went on a podcast, and while on it, she says some pretty crazy stuff. But this is just 1 minute long video, so let's listen, and then we can react on the other end.
Was not a meeting of two clashing forces. This was not, Ukraine provoking Russia when they knew they ought not to, but blah, blah, blah. Like the Russian mindset, like people who are like, oh, we need to facilitate peace talks here. Really? I don't know, because it kind of seems like Ukraine was minding its own business and Russia came in and stomped into their house and started setting things on fire. So there's not like a negotiation between the homeowner and the home invader at that point. So the outcome has to be specific to Russia. And we need to do our best to save and to save the Ukrainian people to the extent that they can be saved and protected, and to help the Ukrainian government and military stand up what they need to do to take care of their own people. But Russia needs to lose, because otherwise the lesson of this is that Putin can keep doing this. It's not like this is his first invasion, and it won't be his last.
So that was Rachel Maddow. Now, there's a lot of different things she says in there, JB. But for people who may be listening from across the pond in another country, what if I told you she was a reporter who advocates for war? So how do you think her reporting will be? And that's just a question for the broad audience. But JB, what's your initial reaction? And then we're gonna play it again and kind of break down all the lies that she kind of says in this video. But what's your initial reaction if you have never seen this video before?
She got a PhD in brainwashing because she completely overlooked the history of what led to what happened. And she's making it seem like, oh, Putin just decided out of the air to go invade Ukraine. And the question is, what drove him to do so? What was the main mitigating factor that drove him to go to Crimea and to do what he did? And the thing is, she's not going to talk about it, because once you start to actually look at the historical analysis, then that proves what she says to be false. But she doesn't want you to know that. And by the way, wasn't it in court where they argued that the Rachel Maddow show isn't actually news, is technically just entertainment? So why are we taking the views of an entertainer who's not actually telling us news? Why are we taking her view as fact? Because the thing is, she's not telling us fact. She's telling us stories that are untrue.
That is spot on. Now I want to kind of play it again and then break down just the factual stuff that she's saying here. Great overview, but let's listen, and we're going to start and stop throughout this here.
It was not a meeting of two clashing forces. This was not, Ukraine provoking Russia when they knew they ought not to, but blah, 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 like
what she's leaving out in this context here, and this is what great propagandists do, is that they're very literal. They're very literal, even though they understand that people don't listen literally. So what she's saying isn't technically a lie. Ukraine did not provoke it. The U.S. and NATO provoked it through Ukraine. So now if you want to say Ukraine provoked it in the sense that they allow weapons to be placed there from NATO, if you want to say that, then, but yes. But this is what's so what she understands about propaganda, and why, to me, and Nick have said this before, she is top 10 top propagandist in the United States. So yeah, my thoughts there. We can continue. Where did I lose my footing here? Okay, right here.
Like the Russian mindset, like people who are like, oh, we need to facilitate peace talks here. Really?
That's really jarring to me. That particular part of the whole video, JB, when she says the people who want to facilitate peace, really? Why is peace, even in her own scenario, why would that be a bad thing? Like, even in the scenario she described, unprovoked, there's no reason in Russia. Even if that's true, what's the problem with trying to facilitate peace? And we have to understand, I got to keep saying this. She's media. So she's the person with the bullhorn, with the constitutional job that this is one of the few jobs mentioned in the Constitution. Politicians not mentioned. The press is. Go ahead, JB. I know you've been wanting to chime in. Go ahead.
Yeah. The Rachel Maddow Show, brought to you by Lockheed Martin.
That's exactly.
Pretty much. That's what it is. And so it's not within the best interest of the military-industrial complex to broker peace, because peace means they stop making money. That's been it. That's pretty much it.
I don't know, because it kind of seems like Ukraine was minding its own business and Russia came in and stomped into their house and started setting things on fire.
False. You're muted right away.
My bad. So Ukraine was minding its own business, and and so where did all the NATO weapons come from? If Ukraine was minding its own business, go ahead, JB.
Yeah, if NATO, I'm sorry, if Ukraine was minding its own business, it was minding its own business, killing Russian-speaking Ukrainians in the Donbass. That's what it was doing. It was minding its own business, killing people. That's what it was doing.
I didn't even bring that part up yet. I was rounded around, and JB, you already got us there, and that is absolutely true, because this is the part that she's pretending that never happened. The shelling, the neo-Nazis. Why is it that American media can't seem to find the word neo-Nazis? Why they can't seem to find a U.S.-backed coup in all of the history that we know of, JB? Do you have a particular reasoning why they would do that?
Well, state media never wants to advertise the crimes of the state. So this is why they're not going to do it, because it's state media. And people want to say, oh, well, we have a free media. Bullshit. Here's the thing. RBN is free media, right? INN is free media. There's a lot of different channels, independent media channels that are free media. But when it comes to the United States and the corporate media like ABC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, One American News Network, Newsmax, all these other ones, they're corporate media. They are literally State Department media. So of course they're going, and some will say, well, Fox News and Newsmax and they're talking against the war in Ukraine. Yeah, until it becomes a war with China.
That's true.
Because once it becomes a war with China, then they're going to be banging the drawer drums. Oh, we got to go to war with China. We got to get them. They're going into Taiwan, and we got to save them. Blah, 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 blah. Yakking smacking. So that's the thing. It's really just one side saying that we need to stop war with Ukraine and with the proxy war in Ukraine and Russia. But then once they go to China, then their xenophobia comes out, and then they're bringing the war drums. Right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Because next thing you know, it's gonna be like, oh man, well, China, they're invading. They're invading their own state. That's like saying the United States is invading Tennessee. Like, what? Motherfucker, what are you talking about? Invading Tennessee? United States can't invade Tennessee. They own Tennessee. Crazy. But anyways, yeah. So the next point she says, I have an analogy for her, but
We can listen and then you can chime in if you like, if you want to do it that way.
So there's not like a negotiation between the homeowner and the home invader at that point. So
there's not like a negotiation between the homeowner and the home invader. I would like to ask her or have a conversation with her on that specific analogy, and then say, how does that apply to Palestine?
Okay, I got something even better for you. Ready?
Go ahead.
All right. Let me, Rachel, Miss Maddow, let me ask you this. You're a neighbor, and you live next to someone, and then you hear screams and cries, and you hear somebody saying, "Help me, please help me." And then you go in, you break the door down because you see your neighbor beating their spouse. What do? You just leave it alone? Or do you come in and you actually save the day and stop them from beating their spouse? Ukraine was literally killing Russian-speaking Ukrainians in the Donbass region. And guess who decided to provoke that and allow that to happen? Wasn't the United States? Who led a coup in 2014 and ousted Yanukovych? Who did that? Wasn't it Ukraine? Wasn't it at the behest of the United States? Oh, wait. So that was a provoke action to place more more NATO weapons at the border of Russia so that they can surround Russia. Let Russia do the same thing. Oh, wait. Didn't the United States do this before? Wasn't it when they placed missiles in Turkey pointed at Russia during the crisis? And then we had the Cuban Missile Crisis, which Russia responded by placing missiles in Cuba. Because they were like, well, they're missiles pointed at us, so I guess we got to do the same. But we got to remember who hit first. The United States hit first, right? Guess who's hitting first again? The United States, who responds by hitting back. So here's the crazy part. Really, is Russia hitting first or are they counterpunching? See, that's the question. But the thing is, the people like Rachel Maddow don't want to answer that question because they want to make it seem like, well, Putin just went, I think I'm going to invade Ukraine. When that wasn't the actual story. So when you start to learn the actual backstory of everything that happened, then you learn, oh, wait a minute, the United States is doing it. And then you start to go into why the United States is doing this. And then you start to look at all throughout history, especially since the First and Second World War, that the United States has been doing and going into countries, extracting their resources, causing coups, and putting in puppet governments, that the United States is trying to do exactly the same thing it's always been doing. Same song, different dance. It's been trying to extract resources. Why? Because Russia has a ton of resources that the United States wants. That's it.
A ton. A ton. So let's let this finish out, and then we can get to the Ohio derailment, because I do want to talk about that. Nick and I didn't get a chance. And I'm glad we waited a day because I was able to research more and get more footage and more up-to-date footage and better footage. So we'll cover the Ohio derailment, which is just terrible what's happening over there. But let's finish listening out to Rachel, and then we'll get to that.
The outcome has to be specific to Russia. And we need to do our best to save and to save the Ukrainian people to the extent that they can be.
That's a joke. Exactly. How are they saving them, JB? What are they doing to save them?
Well, peace talks would have did that, but that ship sailed. And that ship sailed because of Biden and Boris Johnson. That's the reason why the ship sailed. But she's not going to talk about that.
Conveniently. Let's continue.
Saved and protected, and to help the Ukrainian government and military stand up what they need to do to take care of their own people. But Russia needs to lose, because otherwise the lesson of this is that Putin can keep doing this. It's not like this is his first invasion, and it won't be his last.
Putin can keep fighting against NATO. We can't have that. Putin can keep pushing against NATO expansion, and we can't have that. It's truly astonishing to hear people in the media describe other countries' leaders and other countries, and it's like the United States does that times 10, but we hear nothing from you about the United States. Go ahead, JB. I know you want to chime in.
By her very logic, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, Russia, China, Cuba, Venezuela, all should be back together to come and destroy the United States because of the crap that they're doing in other countries. By her very logic, then all these countries need to do with the United States what Ukraine is doing to Russia. By her logic. Because the United States is doing that, like you said, appropriately, times 10. Because guess what? Does Syria have a right to defend itself? Yeah. Does Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq have the right to defend themselves? Yes. Does Somalia have a right to defend itself?
Yep.
You betcha. Cuba, does it have a right to defend itself? Yes. I also count sanctions as war crimes. So guess what? They all have a right to defend themselves. And so by Rachel Maddow's logic, then these countries also have a right to defend themselves against the United States and its hegemony that is forcing upon the world.
Absolutely. JB, I think we can close that segment out. I'll stop sharing that. Sure. We'll get to a couple announcements and then dive into that. The first topic, which is the Ohio derailment. You see any? Did we get any super chats that we need to cover?
I did not see any.
I don't think I saw any, but just want to make sure, just in case.
Wait, I think there was one.
Okay, so if you find it, we can put it up there.
Web Angel says, "Could you guys stream on Rumble too?" Thanks. Rumble's charging. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'll let you, and then I'll add to that after you're done.
Yeah, I think Rumble's charging to stream on there first, and that's a little expensive for us. We ain't that rich, so for right now, we can't stream on Rumble because if you live stream on Rumble, they're gonna charge you. So, unfortunately,
yeah. So the update. So the update to that, JB, is I think Nick said something about he got some kind of discount. So we actually may start, but we have to confirm that we're able to get like a cheaper price. So everybody just hang tight for that because we've been asked this before. And we do need to get back on Rumble. I'm sorry, we do need to get back on Facebook. We gotta be able to stream to more than 3 platforms because we need Facebook, we need Rumble, we need Twitter. I'm missing
Twitch.
something. We need Twitch and we need Rockfin. So that's like 5 right there. And we haven't even got to Odyssey and Instagram in the future. I think you can live stream on Instagram after a certain threshold you meet or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure the details, but yeah, thank you, Web Angel, for the super chat. That is something that's on our horizon to do that.
Aberdeen71, thank you so much for the super sticker as well. Thank you for that. Aberdeen S71 is always in here, supporting us. So thank you so
I noticed
very much.
him on a lot of the different streams too, JB. So let's let everybody hit that like button. So far as just JB and I, Nick is taking time off. Family's in town. They just won the Super Bowl in KC, so he's enjoying his time with his family as he should. And then Sabby has a work meeting today, so she can't join, but
Yeah.
And Rome is doing work. He's actually doing work in the library. He's physically trying to repair the floor, but he said he's going to drop in at some point during the stream. So you got to give us a like, everybody. Hit that like button. We got 250 people watching. Let's get to 225. That's like 125 more people hit that like button. We're hovering around 100 likes. So 125 more people hit that like button for JB and I. Hit that like button for Rome, who's over there doing the actual carpentry work. He is actually doing the work, and I can show you the video. I showed it yesterday where they had he had to get in the floor, so he had to open the floor up, get down in the floor to put some lifts in the floor to make it even, to even out the floor because it's not even. So he was down there doing that work. So yeah, hopefully he's able to chime in. So hit that like button, get us to 225 likes, and let me give you an update. There goes Rome right now. Let's see if he pops in. If you need us to pop you in, or he may need us to pop him in. I don't think he has access to the back right now. So if you want to pop him in, JB. What's up, man? Where you at? You at Home Depot, huh? It looks like Home Depot. I used to work there.
Yeah, I'm getting some more supplies for the library. Man, where the hell is we going? Screws is back here. You see, I know that, but I'm like, I'm tripping. Yeah, we're getting some more supplies for this library. I'm about to close up this floor. I'm about to get ready to destroy this drywall, put new drywall up. I got to throw another fundraiser up for it, though, because I tallied up everything that we need just to put the drywall up, insulation, and 1x. Can't use 2x4s. It's going to push us up too far off the wall because it's concrete. So everything is going to cost about, I think, $2,300, but that's for another day. I'm just going to close up this floor. I'm about to close up this fucking floor and knock down these damn these walls. Get started replumbing the basement.
Yeah. For sure, Rome, doing the good work. Thanks for checking in with the audience and the community. So the community here, this is what, when you donate, when you're a Patreon member of RBN, we're not living it up, getting bottle service. Like, that shit is reinvested.
Nigga, speak for yourself, no. Real shit.
Go ahead.
Yeah, real shit. You know, he ain't lying, man. We really trying to build communities here. You know, we trying to build our community, trying to, build strongholds in our neighborhoods and whatnot. If you guys are serious about being a socialist, serious about being communist, then put your first foot forward and show the people rather than tell the people. It's easy to say that you're anything, but when you show the people, saying with your actions, and if you can prove what you have done, it's not only like it used to be a time that I only can say that I was a communist, I'm a socialist. And now I can point at the things that I have done, the things that's going to stick on this earth after I pass. That's what it's all about.
Somebody said Rome Depot. They need to change the name to Rome Depot. That's funny.
Oh, I think I just pocket this too.
They just need the R. They just need to change the R, and then it could be Rome Depot. But
if they change the name, that'll be what's up. But I'm gonna need about $1 billion from this dude. If he take my damn thing.
And you know that the owners, the people,
just found out that you got the rarest name, the number one rare name in America. It's only 225 people in America named Rome.
Damn.
Yeah, that ain't
what? All right, Rome. Any other updates before we let you get back to work, sir?
Man, I've been trying to check in on the show from here to there. Y'all doing good. Y'all got it without me. I just want to give everybody an update how everything going. Everybody who donated towards the library, everything is going as planned. It's not going as fast as I thought it would because we always going to run into certain problems. Of course, it's an old building. The building is older than me and your mama, so it's going to take a lot of TLC, and we're just going to take care of it and do what we have to do. But thank y'all for everything. I'm gonna get back on this. I'm about to check out, and I'll probably check in before y'all check out.
All right, you're watching, right? So you'll know when to check in.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll put you in the back room whenever you want to leave. You can leave. We'll put him in the back. Rome checking in. That's cool. Right as we were talking about him, he was able to come back in and check in. So let's get through these announcements. We're hitting the like button. 225 likes. We're at 30,900. JB. We're so close to 31,000, sir. We're getting so close to 31,000. On our way to our goal of RBN to 50K. It's a high goal. We can still hear me. It's a high goal, but we thought the same thing about 30,000. Because when we made 30,000, I think we were only like at 15 or so. So we did twice the amount. I don't know what just happened there, but it went out. You can still hear me fine though, right, JB?
Yeah, so I can still hear you.
It just may not be as clear. But anyway, join our Substack if you want notifications when we go live. Nick is gonna go live tonight, so he has Nick at Night. I love that name of that show, Nick at Night, tonight. So if you're interested, I know what happened here. My TV went out. I wonder if the power went out in one of my strips. Because my TV. I'm just noticing. Wait a minute, my TV's off. So I think one of the breakers. I gotta flip one of the breakers on one of the sides. Of that. So anyway, so that's what happened. All right, so I just noticed that. So join our Substack. Also for the Discord link, you can get also through our Substack. And we are going to begin to write on our Substack. I would say by the end of the year, we should probably have some op-eds up. Nick wants to write. I want to get other people, JB, to write. Maybe Danny Haifon can write something, write an op-ed or something, or somebody else that we know why read that we can put on our Substack. And I don't think we got any new super chats. Oh yeah, we do right here. Oh, you already started. My bad. So Rome doing God's work. That's coming from an accelerist, progressive, agnostic. Okay. Thank you, Flush75, for the super chat. And yes, I agree. Rome is doing some great work out there for RBN, for the community, for Detroit. Just great work. So let's now get back into it. Hopefully, we've reached the 225 like goal. If we haven't, just hit that like button. Well, let's dive into this first topic. Go ahead, JB, if you want to say something.
Also, if you guys have not, then subscribe to our Substack as well, so that if you guys also get email notifications whenever we go live.
Yes, that is true. Now let's look at. Is this my bookmarks here? My bad, everybody. Let me make sure I'm on my bookmarks. I'm not. So let's go to the Ohio train derailment and just get the latest on it. And it's in my bookmarks here, so bear with me.
Yes, sir.
And so I have a clip, several clips we'll watch first, and just to give us the information on the latest. This tweet says, new toxins identified. Quote, we basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get railroads open, said Seal Gari, a hazardous materials specialist. And so let's listen to this news clip here.
We now know 3 more chemicals that were on board the Norfolk Southern train that derailed here in East Palestine just over a week ago. And we're being told that some of those chemicals are dangerous.
We basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency sent a letter to Norfolk Southern stating that ethylene glycol monobutyl ether, ethylexyl-acrylate, and isobutylene were also in the rail cars that were derailed, breached, or on fire. Caggiano says ethylexyl-acrylate is especially worrisome. He says it's a carcinogen, and contact with it can cause burning and irritation in the skin and eyes. Breathing it in can irritate the nose, throat, and cause coughing and shortness of breath. Isobutylene is also known to cause dizziness and drowsiness when inhaled.
I was kind of surprised that when they quickly told the people they can go back home, but then said if they feel like they want their homes tested, they can have them tested. I would have far rather they did all the testing.
Caggiano says it's possible some of these chemicals could still be present in homes and on objects until you clean them thoroughly.
So there's a lot of what ifs, and we're going to be looking at this thing 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line and wondering, gee, cancer clusters could pop up, well water could go bad.
Caggiano recommends anyone who's in the East Palestine area get a health checkup. He says get a record of where your health stands now so that moving forward, you have documentation of any possibly related effects to the train derailment.
So capitalism's solution for the people, figure it out yourselves, motherfucker. Figure it out.
I hate to laugh, but that's how it is. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It's like you go to your doctor, nigga. You know how many millions of people don't have a doctor? So what do those people do? Go to your doctor and check it out. Go pay a copay of $30, $45, $50. Go pay a copay, take time out of work, lose money there to go to a doctor to get checked out about something y'all did, about something the rail industry did. This is the reason why, JB, it's important that things like the rail industry, like hospitals, that all be owned by us. That's the reason, because we're not going to poison ourselves. You get what I'm saying? We're going to put the highest standards and we're going to pay for it. It's not a profit motive in it. We're not going to cut back on safety regulations, which contributed to that. And we're going to get to that in a little bit. But JB, any reaction to this first part and to, anything I said, sir? Go ahead.
Yeah, just to add to your point, how many people are going to show up and wait until there's an emergency and then show up to the emergency room?
Right.
And then next thing you know, they have these astronomical bills to have to pay for it. Flush 75 says capitalism. Oh, sorry.
I put that back up. Sorry.
Yeah, capitalism, privatize the gain, socialize the losses. That's absolutely the way it's done in this system, is that they use the loss to be put on us. And whether that's a financial loss or an environmental loss or a health loss, they don't care. And so that's how they do it. They put it on us. Joseph Betts says, where's FEMA? Nowhere to be found.
This person, Michael says, you can read it. Go ahead, JP.
It says, I live 20. I guess you said.
I think it's live.
Yeah. I live 20 minutes from there. Might be taking camera to council meeting tomorrow. What a effing nightmare. Yeah, absolutely. And then
if you do that, Michael, can I say one thing? If you do this, Michael, if you take cameras down there and you got footage, email that to us and we'll bring you on the show. So you can talk to us about what happened when you're down there. So I'll let me quickly here. So here is our email. So email us info@revblacknetwork.com if you do take a camera, or if you just go, even if you don't take a camera, if you go and you can report back on it, we'll bring you on for a segment just to talk about that. Go ahead, JB. With the other comment.
So Marvin Vargas says War Complex gets $10 billion for balloon defense system. No money for infrastructure, emergency action plans for disasters. Yeah, true. Thanks for the super chat.
And that's what Nick says all the time. The central planning model for capitalism is literally non-existent for us. There is no central plan. There is none. So let me go to another clip here. Let me see where it's at. 1 second. Yeah. Oh, this one I didn't play yesterday. So let's look at this clip and listen.
Friday, 20 of them carrying hazardous materials as flames lit up the sky.
I think we missed a second, so let me rewind it just so we can catch that first word.
Massive train derailed Friday, 20 of them carrying hazardous materials as flames lit up the sky in northeastern Ohio.
The evacuation order is in place for anyone within a mile radius of the crash site.
These aren't storm clouds. This is the fucking shit! The fucking shit they burn off in East Palestine! This is not fucking storm clouds! Look at it!
This is horrible. I got arrested.
Officials are.
I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna see if I can read what it said there to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll read it here. According to Norfolk Southern Railroad, the controlled release process involved in the burning of the rail cars chemicals, which will release fumes into the air that can be deadly if inhaled. Based on current weather patterns and the expected flow of the smoke and fumes, anyone who remains in the red affected areas is facing grave danger of death. Anyone who remains in the yellow impacted area is at high risk of severe injury, including skin burns and serious lung damage.
Officials are claiming that the air and water are safe. Residents say they can still smell chlorine. They've complained about their eyes watering when they go outside, and one woman says the noxious air killed her chickens.
Out of nowhere, he just started coughing really hard and just shut down and went very fast.
At all these.
I will also read that. I think there was another thing I would try to read here. Let's see what it says here. I think it's a news clipping. Oh no, they're just pointing out the highlighted part. Okay, so just pointing out in a sentence, they all air quality is fine.
Yeah.
At all these fucking crows. I'm not kidding.
This is within 10 miles of East Palestine.
If you have not evacuated, please leave the area.
What the hell's going on, JB? Why are journalists being arrested? Why is mainstream media barely glancing at this? What is it? What's happened? It feels like they know something. They just don't want panic to ensue. That's what it feels like to me. What are your
Yes.
thoughts?
I'm going to tell you this too. And if you allow me, I'm going to share my screen really quick because I found something. And this is going to give it some context as to why they are covering up what they're covering up. All right, so this is out of the census data, census.gov, okay? And we're down to race and ethnicity of East Palestine, Ohio. So alone in East Palestine, Ohio, there are 13 native Indian and Alaska natives, only 16 Asians in East Palestine, 33 Black or African Americans in East Palestine, 74 Hispanic or Latino people in East Palestine, 1 Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander. Non-Hispanic or Latino is 4,427. Some other race is 28, 2 or more race is 213. White is 4,457, meaning over 90% of East Palestine is white. White. They have a median income of $44,000 a year in East Palestine, Ohio. You want to know why they're not talking about this? Because white people would be outraged at the treatment of their own. You see, it can happen in Jackson, Mississippi, because that's predominantly Black. And it's like, oh, okay, fine. Oh, poor Black people in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah, the Negroes are dying. That's okay. The Negroes are
dying. Right? The Negroes can die in Michigan. Right?
Mm-hmm.
In a predominantly Black town in Michigan. But the moment they start dying like crazy in an all-white town in middle America, that's when shit hits the fan. And they don't want to talk about it because then, remember a couple weeks ago when me and Sabby were talking about what Whoopi said about regarding the police? Will white people have to be beaten in order for white people to actually truly understand what we're going through, right? Guess what?
Yeah.
Guess what? White people are now going to see what we're going through in Michigan, right? They're going to see what we're going through in Jackson, Mississippi, and all other places, in a predominantly white town that has a median income of around 40,000. That's many towns in this country. Mm-hmm. And they don't want people to know about it because guess what? That means a lot of people are going to get pissed off and in the streets because you're going to find out, oh, they're doing to us what they did to all of y'all who have a lot of extra melanin in your skin. And so that's what's going on. Because when I heard about this story, I was like, what's the racial makeup of East Palestine? And when I saw it was over 94% white, I was like, holy shit, this is why they're not saying anything. That's why.
They don't want
and people can tell me I'm wrong, but
they don't want to cause a panic. It's yeah. I'll leave it there. Let me play one other. This will be the closeout. This is more of a clip, more than a clip. They give the most information. I saved this one.
Yeah.
For last, I give a little more detail, so I'm actually gonna play a little more. I'll back it up a little bit and play it. Yeah. So turns out there's actually a older movie that talks about this very thing. A train derailment with chemicals that burn and kills people in the city. There's this movie, and they kind of talk about that in the beginning. So let's listen. Let's listen.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez as we turn to Ohio, where residents of East Palestine are living the real-life version of the Oscar-nominated Netflix movie some helped make when they were extras in that film. This is part of the trailer for White Noise, about a suburban community that faces a so-called airborne toxic event after a train wreck causes a chemical leak.
Something that could actually kill someone. Let's watch a sitcom.
Sometimes it feels like they put these things in media to kind of get us ready for shit that's really going to happen. Sometimes it feels like they're making these movies to get us prepared because Hollywood is in bed with the government completely.
Oh, yeah. CJ, have you ever heard?
Go ahead, JB.
You ever heard the phrase "truth is stranger than fiction"?
Yes.
Case in point.
God is a hack writer.
Damn. Awesome. Go ahead and do it like that now. Damn, Austin.
That's funny. All right, let's listen to some more, JB. Unless you wanted to chime in some more, we can play a little more.
No, we can go. Yeah.
Or something. They're calling it the airborne toxic event. It won't come this way.
Will we have to leave our home?
Of course not.
How do you know?
I just know.
Okay, what if it's dangerous?
Evacuate all places of residence. We have a situation.
White Noise stars Greta Gerwig and Adam Driver. But in real life Palestine, Ohio, fears of a wider health and environmental disaster are growing after a 150-car freight train operated by Norfolk Southern derailed and released toxic chemicals last week. Yes, in the community of East Palestine near Ohio's border with Pennsylvania. Data released by the Environmental Protection Agency Agency shows the train contained more toxic and carcinogenic chemicals than initially reported. The EPA also said, quote, materials released during the derailment were observed and detected in samples from Sulphur Run, Leslie Run, Bull Creek, North Fork, Little Beaver Creek, and the Ohio River. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources estimates the spill killed more than 3,500 fish in surrounding waterways. Chickens have been found dead in their coops. Residents have reported sore throats, burning eyes, and respiratory problems.
And there's no action from our government. There's no mobilization. There's none of this, JB. It is completely, I mean, some of this shit still surprised me that they are not putting up any sort of front anymore about this. There's no more, oh, we're pretending like some, no, they're not pretending anymore at all.
No.
So I'm gonna fast forward to this young lady here because she talks a lot more in depth about what's happening and some of the effects. So let's listen.
Calling a chemically driven environmental nightmare. What does it look like, smell like? Describe what happened when the train derailed and how you learned about how you had to protect yourself.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. One of the things that I really want people to know is that this event has kind of three parts. So Friday night, we had the derailment around 9 p.m. in between 9 and 10. And residents that were right at the site, were evacuated. Then the next day, they evacuated more people on Saturday because it was still burning. And at this time, we didn't know what was on the cars. We heard maybe it was vinyl chloride, maybe it was 10 cars, maybe it was 5. We really didn't have a great picture of what was, on the train. So we were told that if you were outside of that mile zone, you're okay. I live a few short miles. I think on the tracks, there's 5 miles in between where I'm at and where the derailment was. And, you should be okay. And they kept saying the same thing over and over again on the media and in the press conferences. There's no toxins in the air. There's no toxins. Don't worry. Sunday night, we got an alert on our phone that there had been an additional explosion and that the fire was out of control again, which it never really was in control. We have pictures and videos that timestamp.
So understand, people, the shit was already on fire on Friday. The explosion that kind of put this into national media where now everybody's talking about, that happened on Sunday. 2 different times. This was already burning, releasing all these fumes on Friday. It was already doing this, and it wasn't a national story at that time. So I just want people to understand there's 2 different things. The explosion, but the fire had already been happening since Friday. Continually burning. Nobody doing anything. These capitalists do not care about you, your kids, no one. They don't care about you.
Clear through that show it was burning, and to just be aware. Like there was really no evacuation for us, just people that were a little bit further out from the radius. They were concerned on Monday morning that we were going to have an explosion. I will give everybody, this much, that the explosion could have been much, much worse. So they announced to everybody that they were going to do a controlled release. And I'm using air quotes when I say controlled. So they were supposed to do it at 3:30. My daughter was going to be on the bus route at that time. I already was experiencing symptoms of, I have asthma, so I was having shortness of breath already and was concerned, from that burn, I already had irritation. But when they did the release, they were supposed to do it at 3:30 p.m. They announced on a huge, press conference. Mike DeWine was there. All of a sudden, they stopped the press conference. They evacuated DeWine. We work with a lot of, we're nonpartisan, nonprofit. So we work with a lot of, both sides of the aisle, politicians, and had, got confirmation that he had been rushed out of there. The media was given 5 minutes to get out, that they were pretty sure an explosion was imminent. So they did not do the burn at 3:30. I can't tell you why. They did it 2 hours later. The problem is we had forecasted high wind gusts up to 45 miles an hour. We get a lot of wind in our area. The hills usually break it up, but it was announced that it was going to be very windy. So what they wanted to do was let it off earlier so the cloud would go. I'm sorry, one second, my voice. So the cloud would go straight up. It wouldn't span out. So they let it off late, and instead the winds caught it. It went over 4 counties, 4 to 5 counties in 2 states, actually 3, because the panhandle of West Virginia was also affected. So we have Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, all affected by this huge mushroom cloud. You've all seen the pictures, I'm sure. We started in my home, being just a few short miles away, experiencing nausea. Sorry to be explicit, but diarrhea. My father has bilateral asbestosis from working in the mill.
Wow.
So these industries are killing us in more than one way. And he couldn't.
Like I said, these capitalists don't care. These things are killing. Whatever. This cost of doing business. That's how they look at our lives. I can't unsee this type of stuff here. Let's continue. A couple more minutes here.
And I wanted to evacuate. We had family that was telling us to come, but then there was this massive shelter in place order put down. Do not be out if you don't have to. Shelter in place. In the same breath, we're hearing on a press conference and on the news, this is out of an extreme abundance of caution. There's no toxins. There's no toxins. There's no toxins. There's no toxins. That's all we kept hearing. But the only thing I really want to highlight, and I'm sorry if I'm going on too much, is what we found out through the org. We've been on the ground talking with people. We're actually investing. Our offices are in East Liverpool, Ohio, which is just a little bit south of East Palestine. But we have a lot of members of our org that live like me in and around East Palestine. So we've invested in the community and are bringing on a couple organizers that are right outside the front door of the Derailment, to work with people. Because from day one, we've been fed what wasn't the truth. And now we find out with this EPA report that over 10,000 gallons of oil went into the ground, that the vinyl chloride was like double what we thought. And there was diethylene glycol, and there's other chemicals. Norfolk Southern, from what the EPA says, did not report this to the EPA in a timely manner.
They know what's going on, JB. And we can pause it. I mean, I can stop it here because we'll stop it here. Why the hell do they need to arrest a journalist unless they know, JB, what's there and they don't want to get it out? That's why nobody wants to cover it. That's why they're telling all the residents it's non-toxic. They know what's going on there, JB, and they don't want this to get out. They know. Ridiculous. Any final thoughts on this before we close out the segment, sir?
Yeah, that's
terrible.
That's euthanasia on a mass scale. That's genocide, man. Because the thing is that they know. And another question is how much more money will the surrounding hospitals and healthcare centers are they going to get in that area? The ones that are for profit, because they're going to make bank too. So when it comes to, and then the cleanup agencies, the ones that have to clean up, the private agencies, they're going to make bank, right? So there's so many people that's going to be profiting off of this, and they're profiting off of your life. And I saw on the map that it is eerily close to Pennsylvania. I have family in West Philly. And so if this stuff blows over, because we all know that typically the winds blow from west to east, right? Especially when it comes to the jet stream. So if the jet stream gets hold of it, then that's going to start pushing it even further east. And the further east it goes, the more it starts to affect places like where my family's from. And so you have a lot of people right now that are experiencing all these health issues. And let's also talk about people having to miss work. People's their livelihoods is being affected. People who may have farms that sell eggs and have chickens, things like that. That's going to affect their livelihoods. This is literal class war. And in this class war, it means that there are going to be people who suffer in their very lives in this class war. And this is exactly what it is, for the sake of profit. And might I remind you, anybody that is not placing this blame on the Democratic Party, who actually stood in between the rail workers and actually having a strike, this falls on them as well. This falls on Joe Biden as well. This falls on anybody that voted against for the rail workers to have a strike. This falls on them as well, because if they actually had went on strike, that car wouldn't have went anywhere. It wouldn't have went nowhere. But yet, people want to talk about, oh, well, we got to stand behind the rail workers and the rank and file. And we just thought that they were going to actually do something good for the rail workers. We didn't know that they wanted to strike. Even though Sabby literally had rail workers on her show and talked about the fact that they actually kind of wanted to strike because that was their last resort, and that was the resort they needed to go. And so all these politicians, it falls on them too. The blame falls on them. And this is why we need to fight back.
Absolutely, JB. I just noticed Erin made a graphic for this stream. Thank you, Erin. I didn't tell her, I didn't request it. She made one, and it's nice.
Oh.
So thanks, Erin. She had to listen to what we were saying to make this, because it wasn't a generic one.
Because Erin's a badass. That's why.
Yeah, she's a badass. She's a badass. That's what she does. All right, so thanks, Erin, for the graphic. Now that segment could obviously be longer, but I have a time limit, so I do want to get to the second story here.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to do so much in one. It's Valentine's Day, and I have a lot of women in my life I gotta go drop stuff to. So I got to get on the road before I get back to my daughter. But let's bring up my bookmarks here. We'll start here. And because there has been a lot of chatter about progressive challenger to Joe Biden, and it's not just RBN that has been talking about this with Marianne Williamson. Actually, Al Sharpton was talking about it recently on MSNBC, and I have it. Shout out to Case Study QB. That's where I have the clip from. Let me see where I have it here. 1 second. Oh, let's start here. So a couple of clips I'll show, JB, just to get your reaction, and then we can kind of get up out of here. This first one, let's listen.
Ambitious agenda also designed to forestall any challenge from progressives in the party.
No sign of any challenge from progressives in the party. No sign of any credible challenge from any other Democrat, which takes the pressure off President Biden to announce formally that he's going to run again.
Big ambitious agenda also.
I'm just letting it play again. It's a short clip, so let's play it twice, just in case you missed it.
Big ambitious agenda also designed to forestall any challenge from progressives in the party.
No sign of any challenge from progressives in the party. No sign of any credible challenge from any other Democrat, which takes the pressure off President Biden to announce formally that he's going to run again.
Big ambitious agenda also designed
to. So all the clips I'm going to play, JB, kind of are along the same lines. They might get a little more detail, but I don't know if we should take this as they're looking at the field and they say, yeah, there's really not anything going on here, or they're trying to project so that nobody gets in. Do you have a feeling on whether it's them looking at the field and saying, yeah, there's nobody here, or them trying to project so no one gets in to challenge it?
Kind of both. It feels like they're looking at anybody that may be a possible potential candidate that runs against Joe Biden in the primary and saying, yeah, that's nobody.
Yeah, I guess either way it would be bad. And let's listen to Al Sharpton's take on the same thing. All right. So yeah.
Where even the far left has sort of like, there is no major challenge to Biden in the election. I mean, we're talking about changing the calendar with South Carolina's first and so forth. But we're really talking about primaries that really won't be that much of a primary in the Democratic side, because there's no one of any gravitas that is talking about challenging Biden. Isn't that also how internal politics he's been transformative?
I think that's absolutely the case. You know, when to the extent that there are any issues for Joe.
Want to play? You wanted to chime in? He is ridiculous. He is ridiculous.
Wait. I was trying to say he's been transformative.
Just a joke.
Go ahead, CJ. Go ahead.
All
right, I'll play it, but Al Sharpton is just a joke.
Joe Biden within the Democratic Party, it has to do with age. Like, you know, is he up to? He's 80 years old. Not only is there no person who sort of, you know, who might challenge him, there's no person because there's no lane. Really, there are certainly divisions within the Democratic Party, but not the kind of divisions where one wing of the party is saying we're not being represented here. So that's absolutely the case, and I think
so. Progressives are saying by being fine with this, they're saying they're being represented, according to this guy. And I kind of feel the same way. They're kind of saying, wait a minute, we don't need a challenger. Look at Joe Biden said all of this stuff. He's progressive enough. Do you kind of get the same? Do you have the same interpretation as this?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm glad you said that, because Barack Obama had a transformative presidency. I think when people look back, they look at things like fiscal policy and labor policy, and they see, I think, right. I mean, it's a different time. If you look at, Larry Summers, Rubin, he was Barack Obama in many ways was still in the kind of 90s, early aughts mode for Democrats. And, you wouldn't have heard Barack Obama, or really many Democrats at sort of the presidential level a decade ago, 20 years ago, talking in a clear voice of economic nationalism, Buy American, the importance of labor unions. That's just, a lot of that is Joe Biden. A lot of that is, this is a very different Democratic Party than it was even a decade ago. But he does get a lot of credit that you do have these, important wings in the congressional party. You have AOC, you have these problem solver types, and yet, on all the big legislation, he and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have gotten them, all on side.
In all the legislation, the progressives, JB, are voting just like the corporate Democrats. That's what they're saying. They might talk all this and tweet, but he is, and it is true, we've reported on this many times. We said this many times in this segment. If you look at their record, they're sending money to Ukraine. They're voting for Iron Domes. They're sending money to Israel. Like, what's the difference?
I gotta say this. If the progressives aren't pushing and screaming for a progressive challenger, that means that they are not progressive at all. Because if they truly were about getting the true change that they felt that they needed, then they'd be pushing to have a progressive challenger. But they don't want it because there's nothing progressive about them. And the thing is that you're going to have a lot of people that are going to look at progressives and go, why are we going to, sabotage the progressive movement Well, they're the best that we have. Well, the best that you guys think you have are sitting behind Joe Biden and going, we have no qualms with Joe. Let him run again so that we can get him for a second term. Guess what? Is this your king? Is this your king? Right? Tom Cobb says the Democratic primaries don't matter. The court already found that the Democrats can run whoever they want. They don't even have to follow the results of a primary.
No, at all.
Mm-hmm. In fact, this reminds me, CJ, remember back in the 2020 primary when they asked the entire panel during the debate if the Democratic nominee should go with a plurality versus it going to be voted on by the delegates in the Democratic Party. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. And
remember everybody who raised their hand?
I think it was everybody?
Except for Bernie.
Except
Bernie was the only one who didn't raise his hand. Yeah. They all wanted this. They all wanted it to go to the delegates to choose the nominee. Whereas Bernie was like, no, I think it should be whoever has plurality.
And then they tried to get on him about that. And now I vaguely kind of remember it better now. Yeah, now I'm
right.
A little more of it.
Yeah. So they basically wanted the Democratic Party itself to choose instead of the actual people to choose. Well, what difference is it now? What difference is that between any of the progressives? Because if I truly was thought of as being a progressive, Maxwell Frost would be up in arms, screaming about we need a presidential primary challenger. AOC will be up in arms.
Yeah.
Rashida Tlaib, Mark Pocan, Pramila Jayapal. You know,
how come none
Jamal
of them are
Bowman?
saying anything?
No, they're not. They're quiet because they're cool with the status quo. That's what it is. Anybody who talks about, oh, we need to stand behind progressives, well, here's what the president are doing. Are you still standing behind them?
This week. Let's see here. We just finished that that clip. There's actually another shorter one, and then we'll get out of here. So I can start this delivery service, this Valentine delivery service I got coming up here. Let's see here. Is this the one that I hadn't played yet? Oh yeah, this one. Now this is conservatives' view on the same. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to show liberals' view, and then progressives' view, the Democratic view on the same topic. And now this is what Fox News is saying about the same thing. Somebody running against Joe Biden.
Earlier, you were talking about how Biden has been more progressive than what had been expected at the start of his administration. One of the reasons for that, of course, is that he has to fend off challenges from the left. It wouldn't be surprising if a left-leaning Democrat or Democrats chose to run against Obama in the, run against Biden in the upcoming election year.
Yeah.
Earlier,
So, I mean, of course, they're acting like Joe Biden is a real leftist, but they're saying the reason he's even doing the few left things that he is doing is because he's trying to fend off a progressive challenger. And Nick sort of had a similar take that the State of the Union was literally just geared just so they can fend off a progressive challenger. That's why he said a bunch of good, semi sort of good things in his speech. But your final thoughts on that or any part of that before we close out here?
Oh yeah, the State of the Union was just one big circle jerk. That's pretty much all it was. Sorry, there's something in the wine.
He's got to. He's like, yeah, that's it. It's pretty much circus. Yeah. That's it. I'm out. All right.
He's like, oh, good night, everybody.
All right. Well, that's a good way to close that segment. Now, I got to get out of here. Are you staying around to do another segment, JB? You're getting out of here too. So
look, I'm hungry.
A shorter stream today. I do got to get on the road so I can make these deliveries before I got to pick up my daughter from school. So make sure you hit that like button. If last time I checked, we were at like 300 likes and we got over 400 and some odd people watching. What's up with that? We get another 100 people to hit it. Another 100 people hit that like button. So people who watch this on replay, this will pop up in their feed at the top. So let's hit that like button. Did you see any other super chats?
I'm checking Rockfin right now.
I'll check the super chats then. You can check Rockfin. I'll check this.
Yeah. There's a couple of interesting comments though.
Go ahead, read them if you want to read a couple before we get out of here.
Yeah, sure. Let me share really quick so that people can see what I'm seeing. So see. Kay says Aaron Brockovich is aware of this, whereas Naomi Klein, she has TED Talk regarding the BP oil spill, that this is a class issue, sacrifice zones. That's an interesting way to put it. Sacrifice zones. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Thank you so much. But that was all I want. I saw that. I was like, sacrifice zones. That sounds very...
No, good. Yeah, thank you for the comments on Rockfin. Rockfin has been slowly building. We're closing in on 9,000. JB, I don't know if you've seen it or 80, maybe it's 8,500. Yeah, like last time when he was keeping track, we were in the 5s, and we've already gained another 3,000 or so. Thank you for all the Rockfin watchers. Keep sharing, keep liking. Remember, you're hitting that like button, everybody, on your way out. I don't have an intro video because I really got to get going. So we will end with this, JB. Thank you, everybody, and see you later.